So you mentioned Jeff Vocalo, great drummer.
One of the greatest of all time.
So
I learned everything from doing sessions with him and Page. Especially Jeff. We were on so many things together.
Mm-hmm. But
hundreds of records together.
I've
always played with incredible drummers, man. I was suck after you play with Jeff Vaccaro, and that's like in Carlsberg in high school. After that, everybody else is, unless they're one of the greats, it's kind of a disappointment. No offense, Vinny Colaiuta is like, okay, well, Vinny's playing drums, so what do you got? You know what I mean? People drink Greg Bissonette, another giant. He played on my new record. These are guys that can do anything. You know what I mean? And have the facility and the confidence and the groove and really, a great drummer and a great singer define a band. The rest of it, it's if you've got the right attitude and the right sound and the right vibe. Your level of technical ability is really not as important as your ability to write a song. See, everybody learns all the chops, but they don't write songs. They write vehicles for songs, which is play a guitar melody and then solo. And then you do that 10 times and that's a record. I can't do that because I don't think I could, sustain anybody's interest for that long just playing solo guitar. I like to play jam in the context of a great song, and then you still get girls to come to your shows.
So, of course you play with, so many great players, including bass players. What is your ultimate, requirement for the rhythm section?
Oh, man. I've been spoiled my whole life. I played with every great rhythm section, bass player and drummer almost that's ever made records or been in the studios, Everybody has a different touch and feel, and sometimes it's group time. It's the way everybody in the room has their own, where they feel it. And Jeff used to go, sometimes he'd go, I'm going to listen to the click, but I don't want any of you guys to hear it. So there'd be a separate, because he wanted to make sure his shit was right, and he always played behind the beat, and he didn't want us to try to follow him, because he always felt I might play just a little ahead, the bass player might be right in the middle, and he might be back, his snare might be back, but if you play it together, it creates this whole other lope in the groove, and that only happens on that day with that group of musicians. Just like when I play Toto songs with somebody else, it doesn't sound the same because it's not the same guy. But our music, for example, there's been 15 versions of Toto, and there's been different bass players, drummers, singers, keyboard players, and everything, except for me, different sing. And I think our music, if it's played by really great players, as I've seen, then it still retains its sound of, what Page and Jeff originally started with. And I'm trying just to keep that alive at this point. It'll never be Toto 1978 or 1990 or 1983 or 1919. Everybody's either passed away or retired or medically unfit. So Joseph Williams and myself are going, we're going to keep this music alive. The lawsuit we lost, but we had to pay and retain our percentage. So, the promoters, the agent said, keep the name, Page. David Page goes, please, man, come on. We paid for this, use it. I want to make some of my money back. I love to work. Joe and I love to be on the road, so we're going to play. And we got an incredible new band. Wait till you see.
So far, you've been telling us everything you went through is amazing, was great. But,
I put a lot of time practicing and being in a million bands when I was a kid. And playing in clubs and having to wear somebody's too big disco outfit when I got it was 1975, playing top 40 music with disc, weddings, whatever I did to learn that, practice reading on the gig, practical application of your studies. It's not just, you can be a great bedroom guitar player, but eventually you got to get out and play with other people. Or you should. It's a lot of fun. Once they allow us to come out in public again without fear of death. Boy, stay well out there.
Do you have any episode, any occasion you had a hard time, doing the...
Oh, yeah, there's been a couple times when it's, having to read a Trilok Gurtu melody in 9/8 really fast. Having to read these subdivided 16th notes that was a real eye-opener. That took a minute. Humbling, but it was a little above my pay grade, but I got it. Eventually. I can read, but my sight reading jobs are not as good as they were in, say, 1984. I'm not been a studio musician in 25, almost 30 years. I mean, I play on a record now and then for friends or something, but I mean, I'm not doing sessions per se because they don't really exist. And for the guys that do them now, I'm not going to step in their way. I had my time. I'm very lucky to have a great career and be able to do what I want to do and work with great people. So, I mean, I was honored enough to be part of the last great session men, you know, that would walk in every day not knowing what was going to happen. Or, you know, these days, people call specifically, I want you, so-and-so. I called you to do you at your home studio. Give me a couple takes and I'll pick my best shit. That's what a session is now. Even drummers. They put songwriters make a whole record with a drum machine, and then they realize I need real drums to make this real, and the drummer's the last one to put their part on. Seen it a million times. That's why I made my record in 8 days, all live solos, live everything, no click track, no demos, no rehearsals, just here's the chart, run it once, take two with the whole record. And I was real proud. I overdubbed the vocals and afterwards maybe doubled the guitar riff, but I didn't overproduce all this stuff. Everything you hear on it is live, and that's the only thing I could bring to the party, as opposed to try to dazzle you with my unbelievable, you know, billion note a minute technique, you know, which maybe if I started in this era, I'd probably be able to work that up. But I mean, I started out playing simple, and as things got more difficult, I was able to catch up. Because I started with the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964. Now, if you start out, the first thing you learn is Eruption by Eddie Van Halen. You know, where do you go from there? You've skipped over. You go A to Z, and you skip over all the not so fun but important parts. If you want to have a career in music, you got to learn it all. You know? I didn't like having to learn how to read Mary Had a Little Lamb when I could play Purple Haze when I was a kid, you know what I mean? So, catch it early. It's a lot easier to teach a young kid than it is an old person.
Well, you know, besides the Toto, you played with Michael Jackson,
I did, man. What do you want to hear? That's right, that was me. Sorry you got to pay the publishing on that. Actually, I only played the riff. They can't.
So, you know, like, you know, so you had a really great time to working together?
Dude, I mean, you know, my discography is rather large. You know, I mean, that would be almost impossible because it depends on what genre of music, it depends on what era it was. I mean, I got the chance to work with almost all of my heroes. I mean, how can you compare an Aretha Franklin session to a Joni Mitchell session? They're both beyond words to be in the room with these incredible genius women that I had the honor to do. And have them as close to you as me and you, and she's singing live. And I'm playing, and if I screw up, and you know, the take was when she liked her vocal. When it was where Reef Martin was producing, it's like when me and Dave Williams on guitar, and it was Jeff Porcaro and Paich and Foster and Lenny Castro. It was like and Marcus Miller was 18 years old at the time, you know, playing with Aretha, man. It was magic, just magic. And you know, or then I'm in the room with you know, Slash and Lee Ritenour or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm doing some weird project or something. I love to get around, and I have friends in every arena, and I love all kind of music. I can listen to The Carpenters, Slipknot, and Miles Davis in the same day. You know what I mean? I like pop music. I love jazz. I love hard rock and roll. I love classic rock, obviously. That's where my roots are. I'm a Beatles guy, and we'll go from there, you know?